Have you ever heard the saying, garbage in, garbage out? And I was thinking about what should be the talk title for today. And the best that I came up with is everything is a mirror. Everything that we think, do, say, and happens in our lives is mirroring back to us. And I find that fascinating. So I'm going to start off with some spiritual principles first, so that we can anchor where I want to go with this talk, because I want to really make it personal to you. So the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to go back and talk about Ernest Holmes. And Ernest Holmes in The Science of Mind wrote this: man's mind, woman's mind, is the mind of God functioning at the level of that man or woman's understanding of his or her place in the universe. So if you can get that, that means that you are the individualization of infinite mind, and to the degree that you've embodied that idea that that individualization is you and the power of that mind is within you, you are the creator of your experience. To the degree that you embody that, okay, to how you understand that. So let's take it another step further. And here's what I've got. Universal mind, infinite mind, it receives the impression. We impress upon that mind through our thoughts, words, and actions, and we've made an impression on it. It takes form. So if you were to take a piece of clay, and the clay is flat like this, and you impress your hand into it, you would have a handprint when you pull it out. Well, the same thing happens, that we have that very power through the power of our mind and our thought. And when we take our thoughts, we combine them with words and actions and emotions, and we keep saying it and feeling it and doing it and speaking it over and over and over. That's the pressing down of the hand into the clay, and once it's down there and we pull it up, it becomes our experience. It does not matter whether we do this conscious or not, because this universal mind is receiving that impression all the time. No matter what we're doing, conscious or not, it's receiving. That's all it does, is receive. It receives and then it gives back. Okay? So let's take it another step deeper. The universal mind acts exactly like a mirror. It is merely, your life is merely a reflection of universal mind functioning as you. It's a reflection. And it's our thought patterns, whether conscious or not, that are reflected back in the conditions of our lives. Notice I said thought patterns. It's not a single thought. A lot of times people, when they come into new thought, they say, oh, I had this thought. No, it's not a pattern. Don't worry about it. But when you say something over and over, you think it over and over, or you hear it over and over, you start to get it sunk in, and it starts to become impressed in you. So let's go one more. In order to change the reflection in the mirror, we don't try to erase what's in the mirror. Can you picture that? Anyone stand in front of a mirror today? I did. I love mirrors. And I'm there and I'm shaving, and you know, you look, you want to, can I change what that looks like? Wait, that's not the face of a 25-year-old man. Let me wipe that off. No, you can do this all you want. You can put all the cleaning fluid on there. This face is going to be reflected in that mirror unless I change this face. It's the same thing in your life. Until you change the patterns of thought, nothing in your life will change. And so what I'm getting to now is that, so we understand there's an infinite power and presence. It is individualized itself as us, and it responds to the nature of our thought, never judging, but always reflecting back to us that which we embody, giving us the freedom in any moment to change whatever it is we want to experience by simply changing our thought pattern. So as many of you know, I'm going to go on an excursion to Peru at the end of June. And I'm going to be with a shaman in the rainforest, in the jungles, going through some rituals with them. And one of the things that they've asked is that it's real interesting that this year has been a year of purification for me. And I think it's just because in order to go to the next level, I have to purify things in my life. And I'll be honest with you, I got clearer on my values than ever before. And I found that what wasn't a top 5 value that became a top 5 value now, I had to do some purification on that value because I wasn't up to snuff on it. I wasn't organized enough. I hadn't got everything in place. And so I took 2 weeks and I got everything into place, so I have a systematic approach to it. So now that's in place. And then I had a couple things in my mind that were there that I wanted to get done. And so purification is, I believe that one of the most profound things we put into our bodies today is the water we drink. I think the quality of the water we drink allows the body to perform in a better way. The purer the water in that, the purer the body responds. And so we implemented a in-home total purification system in our home. So I start going along this idea, well, I'm doing this. Okay, then I go to a networking group. And in this networking group, I meet a woman, and she's doing these crazy products that are all natural, yada, 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 yada. I meet with this woman, and I'm probably the easiest sell in the world because I see things that don't contain fluoride, that don't contain chloride, that don't contain bleach, that don't contain things that if you ingested them would be poisonous to the body. And so I started to process this idea, why am I thinking this way? And I realized, here's an interesting thought. We talk all the time about just nourishing our mind, what we think. I'm going to take it down and say, no, you got to nourish your body just as well because your body is an extension of the mind. And here's the thing about your body. Your internal digestive tract all the way through is absorbing whatever's put into it. So if you are unconsciously putting things into your body that are not healthy for you, your body's going to accept them in, and it's going to give you a feedback mechanism, and it may not be what you want. The other thing that's interesting, too, is if you take your body as such, what is the largest area of your body that's exposed to things that does most stuff? Your skin. Do you realize that your skin absorbs everything that comes in contact with it? What's ever in the water, what's ever in the chemicals of whatever you're doing, it's all there. When you eat, do you realize that you're absorbing everything that's in the foods that you're eating? All the chemicals that they made to take the foods to keep them processed. If a food has to have chemicals in it, sulfites in it, to keep on the shelf for weeks and weeks and weeks on end, do you think that's going to be good for your body? I'm asking questions. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm asking these questions. So if we have these body temples, this physical body, which is the vessel through which we're going through life, and we understand the more pure we are with that vessel, what we put in it is how it's going to be responding. Wouldn't that be a conscious form of thinking that we may want to implement so that our life will reflect a body that allows us to perform in a way to live up to our values? So I've just taken the body aspect just there. So we've got to become conscious about what we're putting in our body, and we can't make excuses. Well, no. That's fine. Make the excuse, but your body doesn't care about an excuse. It's going to respond to what you put in it, period. Okay? Now let's go to thoughts. Thoughts are put into us all the time. The lyrics of Steve's song, you may not have heard them as clearly, but your subconscious mind heard them. So that fed into your subconscious patterns of thought. If you're watching the news, that's feeding into your subconscious patterns of thought. If you're watching Donald Trump, that's feeding into your conscious patterns of thought. If you're listening to the news, that's feeding into your unconscious patterns of thought. If you're having an argument about something, that's feeding your unconscious patterns of thought. Whatever you're reading, that's feeding in patterns of thought into your mind. What kind of music are you listening to? That's feeding unconscious patterns of thought in your mind. All of that is forming what? The mental atmosphere that demonstrates as the outpicturing of your life. So everything around you, your mind, your hearing, your senses, they're like a sponge and they're absorbing everything. You're thinking to yourself, it's not going to affect me. But if your life is not outpicturing the way you want it to outpicture, it's affecting you. That's the simple way that I judge everything. When I look at things in my life, is my consciousness the way it is? Well, am I outpicturing exactly what I want? Oh no, I got room for improvement. So then I go immediately, where am I thinking or unconsciously thinking, or what am I allowing into my mind that is contrary to where I want to be? And if I have people in my life, who are the people? Okay, so we've gone from our thoughts, now let's go to people. Who are the people in our lives, and are they feeding us? Or are they not feeding us? I'm going to tell you, life's too short to have people that are not feeding you and supporting you as you go toward your values. And it's really interesting. You know, I've said this before from the platform, but everyone that's been a friend of mine through growing up in that are no longer in my circle of friends because it doesn't support and grow me. And so if it doesn't support and grow me, I let it go. I don't do anything bad. I just let it go. I let it fall away. You see, unless you make a habit of bringing someone into your life, they will fall away. Well, the only people that I'm going to ever reach out to are those people that are feeding, supporting, and growing me and allow me to feed and support and grow them. The most fantastic demonstration of this that I saw was in the movie The Celestine Prophecy. Molly and I and Gene and Stephen were watching this last weekend after we did Sunday service. And it was really beautiful because the ninth insight in the movie was that as you were sitting next to a person, you were giving your energy to that person. You weren't trying to dominate them. You weren't trying to overpower them, but your energy was flowing to that person. And when you freely were giving of that energy, and then in turn they started to free flow back to you, there became a cycle that happened of giving and receiving and giving and receiving, centered not in being right, centered not in getting my way, but centered in allowing and trusting that this is the way to love. And then the whole energy of both people just expand and get bigger, and you are living in a pure state of unconditional love. That's cool. That is really cool. That's the people you want in your life. People that you can do that with. It's not about ever being right. Being right will take you out of happiness. Being right, wanting to be right, takes you into judgment. And let me just say this, you cannot judge and love. It is impossible to have those two emotions at any time together. They are mutually exclusive of each other. So if there's a judgment going on out there, if you're judging me right now because of what I'm saying, you're not in love with me. And I want you to know that's your loss. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I do love myself. I accept myself as I am. All the flaws that you may see in me, I embrace them. I hug them. I love them. The next thing is emotions. I think we really have to get in touch with our emotions. A lot of times people say, I need to express my emotions to you. That's garbage. That's absolute garbage. Emotions are a very personal thing. A very personal thing. Why are they personal? Because they're there to guide us. The only reason we have emotions is they're an emotional guidance system. They're the light going off or the bell going off for us that when we're looking and we're on our path toward our divine purpose, we're on our path with our values and alignment, they're there to tell us when we're off path. It's not get together and talk about emotions. We've got this whole thing so messed up, so mixed up, it's absolutely incredible. Emotions for me is, do I sometimes show emotion? Yes, I am human. But I fully understand that my emotions are what guides me. When I'm feeling in a funk, I know that I'm off track. And I ask, where am I off track? And then I switch where I'm focused. I switch my funk. So think about what we've talked about so far. We've talked about controlling the people in our lives, the thoughts in our lives, how we treat our body. We've talked about our emotions. Let's talk about money. Might as well go to that. That's a really good one. Money is energy. Do you understand that? If I pull out a $100 bill, you think I can? I'll pull out two of them. Does this have any value? Only if you assign it value. It's just a piece of paper with ink on it. That's all it is a piece of paper on ink. It's the value that you attach to it that's significant. So if I go to Alexander and I get a haircut from Alexander, this may not be enough money to pay him because he's a high-end stylist. But what am I giving him? I'm saying the energy that you bring in styling my hair is worth me giving you this energy back so that you can do what you want with and exchange that energy over here. The question I ask you is that when you spend your money, are you spending it on things that serve your highest values, or are you spending money on filling voids in your life that will never be satisfied, that you will go down a never-ending path of debt? And so I'm going to bring this right back to the idea of debt, and that's where I wanted to go with this idea. Debt suffocates, it chokes you, it binds you, it causes you mental, emotional, and physical constipation. Think about that. When you've got a lot of debt and you're wondering where are you going to pay your bills, something's clenched. Because you're in fear, are you not? Because why? The universe is saying you don't have enough energy to compensate for what you've been given. So what I'm starting to understand is that when we give energy, we give the amount of energy that we have for something of equal and liker value. And so when you start to talk with all of the great spiritual teachers, they will tell, Edwin Gaines when she was here, she talks about debt. Debt is unforgiveness. She talks about that really clearly, that if there's a lot of debt, it's because there's a lot of things that aren't forgiven, and we've gotten into debt because it was the way. If we really break things down, we could live very, very, very simply and eliminate all of debt. I'm not saying to do that, but I'm saying I would suggest that when you spend your money, you look at, is it serving my highest values? Because what I'm going back to is that everything that we think, do, say, act, and feel is reflected back to us as a mirror in our life. And what's reflected back to us, we get to look at, and then we get to decide, okay, what do I love? What do I don't love? How do I want to shift? And we come back to the idea, the change occurs in you. If you're looking for a savior, look within. That's the only place you're going to find the Savior. Other people can help inspire you. Other people can help support you. But the salvation, the idea of shift and change, happens only with you. No one else can do it. Because until you're inspired from within, it won't stick. I know many, many people, very dear to me, that have started many diets. The ones that work are the ones that they were inspired to choose, that served the expression of them being more present and giving their unique gifts in the world. The second you ask someone to do something for you and expect it, you're out of love. You can ask for them to do it, but you can't have any expectation because you've got to give that person the freedom and the right to say no. Because I've said this before from the platform, the single word no is one of the best words that you can possibly use to express love, to express self-love. Because when you overcommit yourself by not saying the word no, what you're saying to yourself by overcommitting is that you will not get anything done, and when you don't get that done, then you're saying, I am not worthy, and I'm saying I'm a failure. And your subconscious mind says, there's a lot of emotion on it, I'm impressing that into the clay, there's your fingerprint, that's your life. Be real clear. That's what this is about. Know that every thought, every word, every action, every feeling is all being combined within the subconscious infinite mind, and it's forming an impress. The key thing is, remember, You and only you are the creator. You and only you get to either consciously or unconsciously create your life. You and only you are responsible. Would you have it any other way? Let's pray. I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.